10th chapter, verses 1 through 4, please, ma'am.
Now I, Paul, myself beseech you by the meekness and gentleness of Christ, who in present am base among you, but being absent am bold toward you. But I beseech you that I may not be bold when I am present with that confidence, wherewith I think to be bold against some which think of us as if we walk according to the flesh. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled.
Stop right there. Casting down imaginations. We talked a couple weeks ago about strongholds. Strongholds are built by lies and deception.
Right.
Anytime the enemy begins to bring a stronghold in your life, he starts out by giving you a lie or deception. We learned that even from when the man was in the garden. He was put there to till the garden, to maintenance it, to keep everything that God had blessed him with, to keep him in that band of protection. But somehow he allowed the lady to get out of that covering. Amen? And she was left out there vulnerable to listen to Satan, who had once been Lucifer, who once was an angel that walked in the heavens, one that was so beautiful, one that had been built with all the precious stones and instruments. He was not leader of praise and worship. He was the sound of praise and worship. When you hear the drums, you heard Lucifer. When you heard the flutes, you heard Lucifer. When you heard the organ, you heard Lucifer. Anytime Lucifer will open up his mouth, it sounded like an orchestra, because it was built in him. Amen. And so therefore, when you're looking at him, he was beautiful, the Bible said. He was, he was so pretty, and he just walked on things. But once he got lifted up within himself, the Bible said that was perfect until iniquity was found in you. In other words, when you start allowing stuff to get in your heart that you refuse to repent about, when now you carrying something in your heart that you want to exalt yourself above God, and you know that your motive is wrong, now your worship have become tainted, because you're no longer looking at the worth of God, you're looking at the beauty of yourself. Now what you're doing, you trying to take it off of God and bring it about you. And now you got other angels who have left who they're supposed to have been worshiping, and they started worshiping you, but now you and that third have been kicked out of heaven. So now, therefore, you no longer have the right to be given that glorified name of Lucifer. Your name have now become Satan. And now what happens, because you fall in this earth realm, it began to bring a darkness on this earth. It began to bring a darkness in the creation of what God created man to live and rule over. Oh yes. See, when it said, and the earth was without form, and there was a void and a darkness upon the face of the earth. Now, and the Bible said, and God said, let there be light. He wasn't talking about the sun. He wasn't talking about the moon. He wasn't talking about the stars. When God said, let there be light, God was saying, this is a job for God. Because the darkness was nothing to do with what gives light to the earth. It was a darkness that had come in from a fallen angel. And that was Satan.
My God.
And so therefore he began to bring darkness, corruptness, evil into the earth. And it began to tamper with God's creation.
Yes.
And so God put a man here. So when God created man in his image and after his likeness, amen, and placed man into the garden, you must understand that Satan was already there.
Yes.
So therefore when God began to make all the trees, began to make all the animals, everything that he put it here before he placed man here. Which means that you had nothing to provide for yourself, because anytime you got a good father, he will make sure that everything is taken care of before he calls you on the scene.
Yes, sir. That's so true. Amen.
Now guess what happens? Now because there's a darkness, he put a man there. Because see, God said, I can't come there. Because if I come there, I'll violate my own law.
Come on now.
See, so I just can't come in the essence of who I am. So what I got to do, heaven got quiet.
Yes.
God scratching his head.
Yes.
He began to do something. He began to think. And while he's thinking about what he's going to do, the Holy Ghost spoke up. And Jesus' voice came out and said, let us make man. And somebody said, how will we make him? In our image, after our likeness. And we will give them dominion over the fish of the sea, fowls of the air, and over every creeping. See, Satan was creeping. That's why every time when you look at him in the Bible says he was always creeping or walking to and fro, seeking who he can devour. So he was a creeper before man came. He was already looking at everything that God had put here before he placed man here. So he already realized that that was a place that man would not be able to step.
My God. Amen.
So God placed. Notice what it said. It said God placed or put man in the garden. That means he did not form him in the garden, but he placed him or positioned him. Now, when he positioned him in the garden, it was not a geographical place. This is why they have never been able to find it. But when he put him in the garden, it represents the atmosphere of God. Or the precious presence of God. God will always position man in his presence. He had to put man in his presence so man can be endued with power to deal with the thing that was creeping. Y'all know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Y'all got this?
Amen.
So what happened, Evangelist Cox? I'm taking my time. We're going to get to us. Will you stop rushing me? Stop rushing me. Amen. So what happened, Evangelist Cox, was this. The Bible said that now man is given a position while he's in the presence. He's given orders of what to do. Now the other part of who he is begin to separate. What happened? Oh, I'm finna blow somebody's mind. Can I take time to give y'all, can y'all give y'all a little revelation this morning? Amen. So you must understand that when man was asleep, God put him to sleep because God saw that it wasn't good for him to be alone. The reason it was good for him to be alone because you must understand that Satan and all of the fallen angels was there. So the man needed something that he can touch and agree that will bring God in. Come on. Y'all know, I'm trying to help y'all out. That will bring God in the midst. So God saw it wasn't good for man to be alone. So God put him to sleep. And once God put man to sleep, he put him to sleep and then he went inside of man. He went inside of the species that he had created. Because see, to create something means that you are creating something out of something that never existed before. So when God created man in his image, man had never been created before. Man had never existed before. So that's a lie from the pits of hell to say you were made by a monkey, to say that we are evolution, to say all this crazy mess. When you create something, it means it develops out of something that never existed before. Man had never existed before, and he was created.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amen.
Glory to God. He was created what? In the image and likeness of God. Now, once he's created, glory. Now God said, now I can do something.
Right.
So God put him to sleep. And now God, what he do, so he didn't want man to be alone. So God go and steps inside of man. He reaches inside of the man that he created. And when he created him spiritually. A spirit just like he is.
Yes.
That's why he that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. So come on now, y'all with me. I got a church to read their Bible. Amen. So guess what? He goes inside, now after he created them, then what he do? He forms him out of the dust of the ground.
Right.
So he's making his house
Yes, yes.
from the dust of the ground.
Yeah.
Now he takes what's inside of him and breathed in something that can't move.
Come on,
and
now.
when it hit the something that could move, man now become a living soul.
Yeah.
Now he got awareness, he got a conscience. He realized where he's at. And God said, now we must test the man that we created. See, you must always test anything that you begin to create or put out there. It's just like if you got a business, you must test the stuff before you put it on the merchant. And so God said, I got to test this man that I created. I created him in my image. That means he must have my imagination. Because God knows that the devil will tax man's imagination. He says, so he got to have a mental picture of who I am and who he is. So when he look in the mirror and see himself, he is looking at me really reflecting myself through him. So what God said, now that he's made in my image and after my likeness, he got to act like me. He got to have characteristics of me. He got to have ways like me. Amen? He said, now, the only thing, he's been created, but he can't function. Oh, I'm finna mess somebody up.
Jesus.
He's created as a spirit. He's created in God's image. He's created after God's likeness. He got all that have already been established.
Right, man.
But God is looking at everything he created, and God said, but he still can't function.
Right. Yes, yes.
I created him like me.
Yes.
Huh? In my image, after my likeness.
Yes, yes.
But he still can't function.
Yes, sir.
Holy Ghost said, Father, let me breathe on you.
Yes, sir.
Let me breathe
Jesus.
on you.
Yes, sir.
Let me put some of this ruah in you. Let me put some of what's in you in him. And when you put what's in you in him, when you breathe on it,
Oh, my God. Yes.
he'll become a living soul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so when God breathed in the nostrils of man, the Bible said man became a living soul. Now he's aware. God said, ooh, he moving.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Look at the boy moving. Jesus, look at him moving. Holy Ghost, look at what you did.
My God, my God.
But Father, before we can release him to have dominion, we got to test him.
Yes, yes,
Ooh.
yes. My God.
Y'all get that?
Yes, sir.
Well, y'all know the word turn me on. Y'all know the word turn me on. I was going last week, so let me have fun. Hey, man.
Come on, prophet.
He said, check this out. He's aware, but we must test him. God said, Holy Ghost, sanction one of the dogs to come by. Old dog came by. Adam, what's that? That's a dog.
Yes.
Old monkey come by. What's that, Adam? That's a monkey.
Hey. Yes,
Old
sir.
long neck giraffe looking at it. He's like, that's a giraffe.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Ooh. What's that? That's a lizard.
My God, my God.
What's that, Adam? That's a bird. God said that boy pretty good. He said, let's throw a trick question in there. Here come another little bird. Adam, what's that? It looked like that. it's something different. So you try me, ain't you, Daddy? You try me. Okay, Daddy. That's a bird, but we're gonna call him Blue Jay. We're gonna call him Robin. We're gonna call him Dove. We're gonna call him a duck. He gonna go quack, quack, quack. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? We're gonna call this one a pigeon and go, oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying? God say,
Glory to
good
God.
God.
Hallelujah.
That's a hummingbird.
Yes, sir.
That's a parrot. That's a parakeet.
Uh-huh.
We'll make him where he can talk, where he can repeat stuff.
Yes.
Oh, y'all don't hear me.
Thank you, Jesus. Praise.
And God said, it's all good.
All good.
Now, God said, now we got a legal right to operate in earth without Satan trying to hold me against my own word.
Come on now.
Because if I came just straight in my creative state, then he could have accused me. But now that I got the man that we created, and we know that he worked and that he functioned, and that we didn't have to give him a name to nothing, and everything that he named, it came what he called it. So now we can release it into his hands.
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
So now he give man some orders of what to do.
Yes.
And he said, but every tree you can freely eat.
Freely.
You can freely eat.
Yes, sir.
You can eat freely. So let me. I know I'm gonna mess with some of y'all religious folks, y'all tradition folks. I'm gonna mess your head up a little bit, but we got some bare aspirins around here where you take your head and take a powder.
Yes, sir.
Amen. What's happening? What's happening? See, guess what happened, Evangelist Cox? God said, I got my man, he can function now.
Yes.
I no longer have to feel like I'm going down there to do anything.
Come on now.
Because what I did, I had to have a reflection of me in the earth realm.
Yes.
And see, guess what? So every time Adam looks in the image, he see what I did in heaven. And if he keep looking at what I did in heaven, it gives him the power to do it in the earth.
Come on now. Yes, sir.
All right?
Amen.
So he says, every tree you can freely eat. So guess what? It was never about fasting. I'm gonna mess up some of y'all religious folks. It was never about fasting.
Amen.
God gave them where they could freely eat. Never told them they had to go without food.
No.
Never told them they had to deny themselves, put the plate down. He never told. He said you could freely eat.
Amen.
But what did happen? He said, but that's one tree that you stay away from.
Yes, Lord.
The day that you eat that, thou shalt surely die.
Yes, sir.
Which means you should begin to deteriorate spiritually.
Jesus.
You will begin to suffocate. In other words, my breath that you freely breathe and perceive of who I am, it will begin to leave you. Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Yes, God.
And so guess what? Here's Satan.
Oh, yeah.
Dealing with the part that Adam never got to know. Y'all, I'm finna mess y'all up. Because when God brought the man that he reached into and pulled what was in what he created, he created and formed that man.
Amen.
Then what he did, he reached into the formed man and pulled something out of the formed man.
Yes, sir. Come on now.
And he pulled her out.
Yeah.
And began to say, Adam, who is this?
Yes, sir.
He wasn't introducing Adam to Eve.
No.
He was introducing Adam to Adam.
Yes, sir.
That's where y'all messed up at. Eve is a name that came when the imagination got twisted.
Yes, sir.
Eve is a name that came after sin came on the scene. God called them Adam. I didn't graduate high school, but I do know them is plural. Y'all can hear me. I'm going to say that again. I did not graduate high school, but I do know them is plural. So God called them Adam. He never called her Eve. He called her Eve, got to him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Lord.
That's why it's important to know who you are. And so he tried to get man to the tree that God forbid man come from. Now, isn't it amazing, out of everything that he can eat from, the very one that God said, do not eat thereof. If you do, you will surely die. This is the one that Satan kept pushing. And it was a tree. It wasn't an apple tree. See, that's another lie the devil done told. This is why men got Adam's apple. No. It wasn't an apple. It was a tree of good and evil knowledge. This is why when you see over here, it says you must cast down imagination and everything that exalts itself against the knowledge of who God is. And so the first thing what Satan did, he planted a lie. He says, did God tell you not to eat thereof? God knows that the day that you do, you will be just like him. They already was like him.
Already.
So the thing was, she never knew who she was because the man that was supposed to affirm her, the one that said, this is woman, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, he never embraced her to be Adam. Y'all don't hear me. I'm messing somebody up. See, because when God introduced him, he was getting Adam to understand, Adam, this is Adam. This is another side of you.
Come on now.
This is the side that will be nurturing. This is the side that will be soft and gentle. This is the side that will show you how to release your emotions. This is the side of you that will teach you how to cry. This is the side of you that won't let you be egotistic. This is the side of you that will not be like the devil that you got to face in the garden, that will get lifted up in yourself and walk around with ego trips and think you this and all of that. This is Adam.
My God, my God. Amen.
And because he never knew that was Adam,
Yes, sir.
the devil got to him. And she, somebody says she. How can she be she in Adam? Male and female created he. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Huh? So when she ate, it messed up the identity
Come on now.
of who they were. So strongholds begin to develop into the mind. And now they begin to question their identity because they no longer know who they are.
Yes, God.
So now, because they don't know who they are, because of a stronghold through a lie and deception, how you know it was deception, prophet? Because the Bible said that the woman did not willfully sin, but she was deceived, which came through deception. Oh, yeah. I give you this Bible, baby. Oh, y'all talk, y'all fight with each other. I'm giving you Bible.
Come on now.
I like that song, what my boy sang. That's why I read my Bible. To get a little knowledge. Oh, y'all don't hear me. I got to read my Bible.
Amen.
What happened? Guess what? So now that's a crisis of identity. And guess what? That same crisis is still plaguing America and plaguing the church world today. They're walking around saying, who am I? But they don't realize that the Creator who created them in His image and after His likeness, He's still walking around, even though we done messed up, even though we done got our mind messed up, even though that's a stronghold there, even that's something that done messed up my imagination, it done messed up my image, but God is still walking around in the cool of the day, in the same garden that He placed man, which is His presence, walking around and saying, Adam, where art thou? Adam, where art thou? Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Until you begin to realize that you are Adam.
My God.
The church world, the reason why we got ignorant men that beat up women and say women don't supposed to preach because they ignorant self don't know who they are. You ain't Adam and Eve. You are Adam. Oh, y'all don't hear me.
Jesus. My God.
God said, Adam, where thou art. He didn't go around and say, Eve, where you at?
Come on now.
He didn't go around and say, Adam and Eve, where y'all at?
Yes,
What did he say?
Adam.
Woo.
Jesus.
Why did he say Adam? Sheila? Because he called them.
Them.
Adam. My God, my God.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead and send me some hate stuff. I love y'all that send me that stuff. I mess your head up.
Come on now, prophet.
Huh?
Tell the truth, ain't you?
Guess what, church? Stop trying to be apostle,
Yes.
prophet, evangelist, teacher, pastor.
Jesus.
We got too many of them running around.
Yes, Lord.
And a lot of you are phony. God ain't really called you. You just
Amen.
went out there and did your own thing. But the truth of the matter, God is looking for Adam.
Yes.
Where art thou?
Glory.
In other words, he's calling for mankind.
Yes.
And what did Adam say? He said, I heard your voice.
Yes, right.
See, I don't care what you done, baby. You running from the presence of God.
Yes,
Because you done sinned and you done messed up and folks tell you God don't love you and God don't want you and they try to make you think God is a spiritual boogeyman and he gonna beat you up and kill you. And no, but he's a God of love. And although you might be out there and you're away from his presence, but you still hear his voice. Because he said, Adam!
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Adam!
Yes, sir.
Where art thou? And he said, Lord, I heard your voice
Yes, sir.
walking in the midst of the garden
Yes.
at the meeting place where you will meet me. Because God always meets you in his presence. Y'all don't hear me.
Hallelujah.
Jesus.
But he said, but I hid myself and I flee from your presence.
Right.
My God.
God said, why you hide, boy? He said, because I'm naked. I'm stripped from glory.
Yes.
I don't know who I am. I'm running around bucket naked.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't know who I am, God.
Yes.
And God said, who told you you were naked? Who told you you were stripped from glory? Who told you you don't look like me? Who told you you don't act like me? Who told you you was not created in my image and after my likeness?
Preach it, prophet.
Who told you? Who told you?
My God. Jesus.
Boy, don't you remember y'all both was out there naked and not ashamed?
Come on now. Yes, sir.
You know why? Because you didn't see nothing different. Because when you looked at yourself,
Yes,
you
sir.
saw Adam, male and female. Nothing was contaminated. Nothing. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Jesus.
Woo! My God.
My God. Oh, God, I thank you.
But now, you done got tricked with this lie.
Yes.
This stronghold.
Right.
Something done messed up your perception.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, you right, Father, because I was talking to that woman that you gave me.
Now it's a woman.
She told me that the enemy was talking to her. And she said that the tree that was in the midst of the garden said it looked good to her. And it looked as if we eat it to make one wise.
Come on now.
Dealing with wisdom, knowledge, understanding,
Right.
which they already have all of that.
Right.
So what she did, the devil convinced her with a lie to make her think if she eats something, it's going to make you come like God, when they already was. So it was a crisis of identity.
My God.
The church world still facing a crisis of identity.
Yes, sir.
You still don't know that you Adam. That's why you keep beating the woman up. That's why you keep telling her God ain't call her to preach. That's why you keep telling her she don't supposed to preach. She don't supposed to prophesy. She not supposed to do this. She not supposed to do that. Because you don't realize that she's a part of you. And her name is Adam, not Eve.
My God. Woo.
So the stronghold is on the church.
Yes, sir.
Bad.
So Paul was talking. Can I go ahead with a little bit?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Glory. Paul, what the other one I told you to get?
12th chapter. For verse 1.
I think it was what? I think it was verse 1 and 2, I believe it was. Yeah, starting verse 1.
It is not expended for me, speeding, for me doubtless to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord. I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago, whether in the body,
Yeah, come on.
I cannot tell, or whether out of the body, I cannot tell. God knoweth such an one, God knows such an one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. God knows.
But God knows. Stop right there. Here's Apostle Paul. Hold up, keep reading on, keep reading on.
Okay. How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Of such a one will I glory. Yet of myself I will not glory, but in my infirmities.
But in my infirmity, come on.
For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool.
Come on, I ain't gonna be no fool. Come on.
For I say the truth.
They say Boo Boo was a fool. Come on.
But I say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he hears of me.
Come on.
Unless I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelation.
Watch out there.
There was given to me a throne in the flesh.
Finna work with
the
this.
messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, 3 times,
Come on.
that it might depart from me. And he said unto my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me.
Stop right there.
Yes, God.
Right there we see where we talked about strongholds.
Yes, sir.
When Paul first is over in the 11th chapter, the 10th chapter, talking about the weapons of a warfare, not carnal. So you ain't fighting no natural battle.
Amen.
He said, but my weapons are mighty through the pulling down of strongholds. He said, they're mighty in God. Not mighty in me, but mighty in God. He said, what, that we pull down strongholds and we cast down imaginations.
Yes.
And everything that exalted itself above the knowledge of God, we bring it into captivity. And we call it to be subject when our obedience is proven. So now we see the same Paul, glory be to God. That was a man that had been through so much persecution. And see, a lot of people, when they looked at that, when Paul said in this particular chapter, Paul had been through some stuff, my brother. And Paul had had some infirmities. And people thought that Paul's infirmities meant sicknesses. But it was not sicknesses and diseases. Yo, my God, my God, my God. But when God began to deal with Paul, Paul said, look here, I knew a man above 14 years ago. What Paul was trying to get them to understand. Paul said, there was a time in my life that I would persecute the Christians. That was a time in my life that I did not know who God was. But one day on my road of Damascus, God knocked me down and blinded me by light. And I heard the voice of God speaking to me, saying, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou? He said, it is hard to kick against the prick. Paul said, I heard a voice, but I saw no man. Because he couldn't see a man, because it was not a man talking to him, but it was God the Father. It was the God of revelation. It was the God with all wisdom and all knowledge. It was Elohim. It was the omnipotent God. It was the, oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. It was the almighty God, who is El Shaddai, that had visited Paul on his road to Damascus. And he said, I'm going to teach him what he must suffer to carry this gospel. And while Paul going on, my God, he's going on with his ministry. And he was shipwrecked. He was beaten, my God. They left him for dead. And the Bible called them infirmities. So the infirmities were not sickness. So when Paul began to go on, as he was dealing with strongholds, where he had to cast down imagination. That's why he's talking to the Corinthian church. Because it was the Corinthian church that he was giving the message to. It was the Corinthian church that had got so wrapped up because they was more gifted than any church of the century. They had prophecy down to the past. They had speaking in tongues. They had discernment. They had all the gifts, but they had no love. That's why Paul said, look at here. Though I speak with tongues of an angel, and I prophesy and have the gift to reveal all mysteries, but if I don't have love, then everything means me no good. So Paul talking to this church.
Yes. Talk to the church.
Talking to the church.
Amen.
And so guess what? They begin, because Paul dealing with them, they begin to beat Paul. They begin to leave him for dead. They begin to persecute him. They begin to try to make Paul give up. But Paul kept on preaching. And he kept on seeking God's will. And one day, by God, Paul had a revelation. And Paul said, I knew a man. That word knew means to be intimate. Paul said, I was intimate with someone above 14 years ago. Paul said, it was about 14 years ago that I knew this man. Paul said, whether I was in my body or out of body experience, he said, I can't tell. But Paul said, I was one. I was caught up to the third heavens. Why did Paul have to be caught up to the third heavens? Because when that's what principalities, and that's what demonic forces, and that's what spiritual wickedness is, in high places begin to operate in one area. But God took Paul to an area that was higher than that, which was the third heaven. Because how can you build where a strong man, except you go to the strong man's house and bind him. And when you bind him, you can take his goods. And God said, look at here, Paul, with what I'm giving you, I got to take you to another level so you can deal with the elements of this atmosphere. But you can deal with the principalities. You can deal with the lies. You can deal with, y'all don't hear what I'm saying, of everything that's trying to block my image. So I got to take you above that. And if I take you above that, you will have the revelation of how to pull down strongholds, of how to cast out imaginations, and everything that exalts itself above the knowledge of God, you will pull it down. So Paul,
Jesus.
when I was caught up,
I was caught up.
I was in the third heavens. And that's where the church need to go. We need to go to the third heavens. We need to get in a place where we can hear from the throne room of God. Paul said,
Thank you, Jesus.
I was one, and I was caught up in the third heavens. He said, I began to hear some things that wasn't lawful for me to speak in this earth. What Paul was saying, the language, the message I got in that realm, this realm it can't handle.
That's right.
Paul said, but that was a messenger.
Jesus.
That was a thorn that was put in my flesh. Y'all don't hear me.
Amen.
It was a thorn put in my flesh. Paul said. It was a thorn that was put in my flesh. So that when I speak,
Thank you, Jesus.
people won't see me or hear me above who I am. In other words, they won't look at me as God.
Come on now.
Y'all don't hear me.
That's right.
They won't try to make me bigger than who I really am. So that was a thorn in my flesh.
Right, my Lord.
And people for years have tried to make the thorn be a sickness and a disease.
Right.
But it wasn't a sickness.
That's right.
It wasn't a disease. Some over there in the Galatian church, they thought that Paul, it was an eye disease, because Paul said at one particular time, he said, they loved me so much that they would even pluck out their eyes to give them to me. You hear what I'm saying? So that's why some of them debated that he had an eye disease. Some of them, they said, well, you know, Paul, he was a dwarf. You understand what I'm saying? And he had a problem with his speech. You know, and he couldn't even see that good. That's why he would write big letters. Y'all don't hear me. They were trying to do everything that they possibly can, amen. Glory be to God, to try to figure out what Paul, y'all finna get some good revelation. And so it wasn't an infirmity like it was a sickness. Amen. Because see, what people fail to understand, even in the book of Joshua, God said that he would use men as infirmities. In other words, that there will be men that will harass you, and there will be a thorn in your flesh and in your side. See, God knows how to get folks, y'all don't hear what I'm saying, to push you into the next level he's trying to take you. And so Paul said that there was a messenger. That's what the thorn was.
My Lord.
See, some people said that God gave him the thorn to humble him, but the devil is a lie. God never gave Paul the thorn in the flesh. So all of you that have told people that he got this thorn from God to humble himself, it's a lie from the pits of hell, and it's a stronghold that have blocked the people's minds. And this is why people don't know how to deal with persecution and tribulation, because they think that it was God that gave it to them. First of all, God is not going to give you a revelation, then turn around and command you not to speak it. The devil is a lie.
Amen. Yes. That's right.
The Bible said that there was given to him a thorn in his flesh. And the thorn was this, Kendra. It said it was a messenger of Satan.
Yes.
I think God is different from Satan.
That's right.
It was a messenger. Now I want y'all to check this out. It even wasn't Satan himself.
No messenger.
But it was a messenger sent from Satan.
Sent from Satan.
It was a demonic angel sent from Satan to buffet Paul.
Yes, yes.
Because of the abundance of revelation. See, when you start getting thorns, baby, that's when you done came to a place of abundance revelation.
Right.
Some of you ain't getting no thorns because you ain't got no revelated word. You got a little mediocre word. You got a little law word, and you got an internet word, and you got what everybody else say, but to get a revelation, rhema word from God. Y'all hear what I'm saying?
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
You know, a lot of people have not come to that point yet because they won't study to show themselves approved. You hear me?
Yeah.
So it was a messenger that came to buffet Paul. In other words, to continually to strike him. Boom, 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 with the message.
Yes, yes.
A message comes through our ear gate to infiltrate our mind.
Yes.
So everything that God is telling Paul, the devil said, no, it ain't. You can't do that. God ain't with you.
Come on now.
God didn't say that. Oh, how many of y'all ever been there?
Yes,
when
yes.
God is trying to tell you something, and God is trying to get you to get a word to break down the walls of tradition. And God is giving you a revelation on things that the church world have been stuck on for so long, and the tradition of men.
Yes.
Some of them God has given a revelation on fasting, but they scared to preach it because of the church.
Yes.
A lot of them God has given revelation about tithes, and they don't want to preach it because of the rebuttal that they will get. But God said that I'm giving somebody that will have a revelation that will take my word. And there's a message of Satan that's coming. He keeps trying to hit me.
Come on now. Yes, sir.
That's right.
But it was persecution.
Yes, yes.
And you must understand that where this took place, when they talked about his eye disease and a sickness, this was over there in the church of Galatia, where Derbe and Lystra and all these different places was at. That's the place where Paul was beaten. That's the place he was whipped. That's the place he was left for dead. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying? So Paul is giving this experience of everything that the devil tried to do to harass him, to keep him from speaking God's word. But guess what, baby? And Paul began to pray. He said, oh, Father, take it away. Now, I'm trying to show you something.
Yes.
He said, Paul, you just got through preaching that the weapons of your warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty in God. Through the pulling down of strongholds and casting down every imagination of everything that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. So Paul, I ain't finna touch it, but my grace, My grace.
Yes.
My grace is sufficient. In other words, this is not the grace that you are saved by. This is not that grace that is unmerited favor. This is not that grace, y'all hear what I'm saying? But this is a grace where God empowers you with strength to be able to keep doing what you're doing. This is the grace that you take a licking and you keep on ticking. This is the grace that when Paul got beat up and they left him out there for dead and he had battle marks so he was all beat up. But that was a grace. Well, Paul got up, glory to God, from that place where they left him for dead. And the people went on about their business. But the Bible says Paul got up and he walked about 20 miles into the next city because he had the grace that was sufficient. When they took him licking and he kept on ticking. And now the same Paul that just got beat up is still giving out the revelation and beginning to preach to the next city. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. And they was harassing him. And you got some folks that were trying to harass you. They were trying to shut you up. But when God give it to you, baby, shout it to the mountaintop. Shout it. My God.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Shout it.
Yes, sir. Jesus.
So he said, Paul, my grace is sufficient.
Yes, sir.
I have already given you what it takes.
Yes, Lord.
They cast down every lie the enemy keep telling you.
Yes, sir.
Now guess what?
Thank you, Jesus.
Paul, he got rid of that thorn in the flesh. See, that's what people don't tell you. See, everywhere Paul went, there was somebody throwing messages at him. There was something trying to attack his mind. There was something trying to keep him from speaking the revelation that God gave him. Because the devil knows if I don't stop him,
That's right.
folks gonna look at him. That's why Paul said that when people see me, they won't see me. Or if they hear me, they won't hear me above who I am. So Paul said that was given to me a thorn in the flesh. He said the devil realized if I preach this message, they gonna look at me. This boy ain't nothing to be dealt with. If they hear what I'm saying, they gonna get changed. And faith gonna grow in their spirit. This is why when the one king saw him, he said, Paul, you about persuaded me to be a Christian boy. Good God Almighty. I've been an atheist all my life. But when I heard the abundance of revelation in you, I was about to change. I was about to change.
Yes, Lord. Thank you, God.
And so, Paul said, about 14 years ago, I knew a man.
Yes.
In the body, out of the body, I can't tell you. But he said, I was called to the third heaven.
Come on now.
But the man that Paul knew was himself. That was the man that he knew. Somebody said, who was the man Paul knew? It was himself.
Yes, Lord. Jesus.
Everybody thought it was an angel. He didn't say, above 14 years ago, I knew an angel.
No.
He said, above 14 years ago, I knew a man.
My God.
An angel was not a man. He said, above 14 years ago, I knew. In that word, like I say, knew means intimate. So Paul said, I had some engagement or some encounter with this here fella. Paul said, now I don't know what's in the out-of-body experience in that case. So don't quote me on that. I know what's in the out-of-body experience. He said, oh, I was in the flesh.
Come on now.
He said, but I do know I had that conversation. And Paul realized, guess what? That was me.
Yes.
He realized then, oh my God, the man that I saw about 14 years ago, in the body or out of the body, I can't tell. It was me. It was me that was caught up to the third heaven.
Yes.
Now I understand why God let me know that when I finish my course, that's a crown that's made up for me. And not only for me, but for you too. That's why Paul was able to say, look at here. Everything that tried to stop me, I realized it can't stop me. Now I understand when the viper tried to bite me, I was able to shake it back out there in the fire. I understand when they beat me and left me for dead, I was able to get up. I understand they tried to beat me and persecute and make me shut my mouth because I realized the experience I had on Damascus, God told me that I would suffer persecution. So guess what? Well, I'm telling y'all now that the godly shall suffer But one thing I won't do, Paul, I won't take persecution away. Because persecution is my tool that I use to get the church in order.
Yes, sir.
Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. That's why God said I ain't going to move it.
My Lord.
But my grace is sufficient.
My grace is sufficient. It's going to help you get through every persecution.
Right.
Jesus.
It's going to help you get through every
Gotta
persecution.
go through it.
Joshua, they had to deal with persecution. Over there
Amen.
in the book of Numbers, they had to deal with persecution.
Sure did.
Huh? Somebody get Numbers 33 chapter real quick. Woo. Come on, Squeeze, you got your Bible on. You move too slow, Squeeze, move too slow. You got to pray for your knees again, amen. Glory be to God. This word good, y'all?
Yeah.
Amen.
About to run in here.
Read verse 55.
33.
Yeah, 33, read verse 55.
But if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land,
But if you don't drive out the inhabitants of the land, come on.
then it shall come to pass
Then it's going to come to pass, come on.
that those which you let remain
Those that remain,
shall be pricks in your eyes.
they're going to be what?
Pricks in your eyes.
Pricks in your eyes, thorns, come on.
And thorns in your side.
Thorns in your side.
Shall vex you in the land where you dwell.
Paul, you better say it, sir. They're going to vex you. God said, I gave you the power. That's why we talking about, didn't I give you power to go in and possess the land? And I told you, I'm giving you the land, but I ain't going to drive them out. You got to drive them out. And God said, what I done gave my people, it's time for you to go and possess it. God said, stop looking for me to do
Yes, sir.
what I have given you ability to do.
Amen.
Some of you deep folks, some of you deep folks, all you would do will continue to be sophisticated and sound religion. I talk to God about everything. But God ain't talking to you about everything. Because what he have already spoken, he expects for us to do.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Do y'all hear me?
Amen.
God said, if you don't get them out,
They're gonna be
they're going to stay there. They're going to be thrown in your side.
That's right.
So that stuff you keep on just embracing. Oh, I'm just trying to be a good, loving Christian. It's going to keep poking you in your behind until you get it out.
Yes.
That's
My Lord.
Keep on being a good, loving Christian. Keep on letting it poke you. Keep on letting it be smoke to your eyes. Where your eyes are running, you're irritated. Huh?
My God, my God.
Huh?
That's right.
That's right. Gotta stop it.
Your shoulder don't hurt, do you? So you don't be trying to sue me. You want that? Just keep irritating, keep agitating.
Amen.
Huh?
Amen.
That's how it is.
That's how-
Amen.
How many ever dealt with a nagging woman? A nagging woman.
woman.
Amen. See, a nagging woman, that's how these thorns is.
Yes.
You trying to do everything you can as a man. You're trying to be, you're trying to keep your head solid, and you keep, and that's what Paul was dealing with. That was his thorn in the flesh.
Yeah.
Everything that God was telling him to do, here's a message of saying, God Almighty.
Jesus.
And Paul, he realized now, God, your grace
Yes, Lord.
is sufficient. Okay. He said, Father, I see now why David said, many affliction of the righteous,
Yes.
but the Lord
Never.
deliver us from all.
All of it.
Paul said, now I can help you, church, because of the abundance of revelation.
Right.
Those light afflictions can't even compare
To the glory.
to the glory
Yes.
that lies ahead.
Yes.
Paul said, I'm trying to help y'all now.
Come on now.
Because I realized what the thorn was.
Yes. Yes. My God.
Paul, I'm trying to get you to understand if you fight a good fight of faith,
Yes.
there's a crown that's laid up for you.
Yes, God.
Paul
Hallelujah.
said, look here, I'm at a point in my life now I can go on and be with the Lord.
Yes,
but he said, but I'm not going to go. I'm going to tarry with you for a while so I can help you with some more stuff.
yes,
That's the part I knew who he was.
Yes, God. My God, my God.
He knew.
So Paul said, guess what? For Norris, if you suffer with it, Sheila, you'll reign with it.
Yes, sir.
That's why Paul telling us that.
Yeah.
Because he realized because of the thorn of the flesh that he had.
Yes, Lord.
And God wouldn't take it away
Right.
because God had already given him a grace
Yes.
to endure anything that come against you.
Yes, sir.
No weapon Formed against you shall prosper. Every tongue that rises up in judgment thou shalt condemn. For this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, our righteousness of him. So every message the devil keep trying to throw at you, it won't prosper.
Thank you, Lord.
And guess what? Everywhere Paul went, they tried to keep him from preaching the gospel.
Yes.
They whooped him, they threw him in jail, him and Silas. Thought they were preaching in Jesus' name. He didn't stop because of the abundance of revelation. Although he was in prison, they put him in a prison inside the prison.
Yes. My God.
They put him away from the population. They stuck him inside of a prison, inside the prison. Put him in a dark place. All he knew was the revelation.
Yep.
I'm going to praise him.
Yes, sir.
And Silas, he said, I'm Paul.
My God.
I'm going to pray because my name starts with a P. I'm going to pray.
Yes.
And you, Silas, you start singing because your name starts with an S.
Yes.
And I realize if we give him praise and praise, it will bring such an atmosphere that he will come because we two or three touch him. He's going to come in the midst of this prison.
Yes, Lord.
And when he come in the midst of his prison, he's going to set us free.
Yes, sir.
Because he had that revelation.
Yes.
Amen? And see, and if you read on through the book of Acts, around about the end of Acts, you'll see what Paul got rid of his thorn in the flesh. See, they don't tell you that. The Bible says Paul went on. Vita. The Bible says Paul went on.
Yes, he did.
For 2 years, rest of his life.
Amen.
Y'all hear me?
Amen.
Preaching and writing.
For the rest of his life. Y'all don't hear me.
Yes.
For the rest of his life, Kendra.
Amen. Yes, Lord.
Guess what it said, Jolie? He went for the rest of his life.
Amen.
Y'all don't hear me. See, y'all.
Amen.
Guess what it said?
He went
He went for the rest of his life preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, sharing his revelation that God gave him. And the Bible said, with no man hindering him in his home house. Shout out here, man.
Yes, sir.
Because he got rid of that thorn in the flesh.
Jesus.
There was no more hindrance, no more persecution. There was nothing else to stop him. He was free at last. That's why he can tell us, stand fast in the liberty where Christ have made you free. And be not entangled again with the yokes of bondage. That's why he can say, well, the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Because Paul had got rid of his thorn in the flesh. And the Bible says he preached the rest of his life, living at his own home, with no man
hindering
him.
Amen. Jesus.
That's a blessing.
Yes, Lord. Jesus.
No man.
No man.
What he told Joshua. Not a man will be able to withstand it.
Yes. No man.
Nobody can hinder me now. I done got on to this thing. I'm going to preach this gospel with no man hindering me.
That's right.
He got rid of the thorn in the flesh.
Yes.
You can quiet your haters.
Yes.
Those folk that talk about you. Those folk that try to make you think you're not who God say you are.
Yes.
You can silence them.
Come on now.
Huh? By doing what God say do.
That's right.
And you know what the funny thing? It's amazing that folks that ain't never really gave their life to the Lord, ain't never been in ministry, it's amazing how they always try to tell what the church should be doing. You don't know what the church should be doing because you ain't never been part of it.
That's right.
You can't tell somebody what to do when you ain't never been part of nothing yourself.
Yes, Lord.
If you know so much, then why you ain't doing nothing?
Amen.
Huh?
Amen.
And in my close, the abundance of the revelation that God gave Paul was not a message every 5 minutes. Well, you folks, every time you look around, every 5 minutes, God said this, God said that, God said this, God said this, God said that. Sometimes you can look on Facebook and you can see within 20 minutes, somebody done put 20 messages talking about what God said. First of all, that's not God. That's not God. You can't tell me who God and what God is saying. First of all, the reason why I know it ain't God, because God says in his own word that too much knowledge is a weariness to your flesh. So in other words, God says it's bad to be over righteous. Oh, Lord, help me. I'm finna mess somebody. I'm finna mess your religion up. In other words, you too heaven bound to you know earthly good.
Come on now. That's right.
Another thing, everything that we encounter in the natural is in the spirit.
Right.
Now, first of all, in the natural, if I gave you hot dogs and pork and beans today, I know just let me use my imagination. I know it ain't the meal you desire, but I don't eat hot dogs and hot dogs. I want me some caviar. Well, you ain't getting no caviar. Amen. Pork and beans and hot dogs.
Right.
You eat that at 2 o'clock. 2:15, I'm coming to bring you some macaroni and cheese and some collard greens and some ham hock.
Good Lord.
2:30, I'm coming back.
Wow.
That's too
You ain't
much?
digesting it.
Stop! Oh, what you say?
You ain't digesting
You
it.
caught the revelation, didn't you?
Yeah.
How you caught that?
Because you done told me before.
Oh, I did.
Somebody told me I'm full and I ain't
Eating up
digested.
everything.
Okay, now, this is what I'm saying. I want to help somebody. First of all, God don't force feed nobody.
Amen.
And God will never keep giving you stuff that's going to make you gurgitate.
Right.
Don't you realize even in the natural, if I feed you every 15 minutes, what's going to end up happening, I'm going to pop your belly because it's going to overload the capacity of what you're able to handle. And God will never give us too much. That's why I say too much knowledge is a weariness to the flesh. And some of you talking about God ain't talking to you like that. First of all, God ain't gonna give you a message today and you have not even yet digested that, and he's coming putting something on top of that. That just mess that you wanted to say anyways. It got nothing to do with God. Just say, that's just what I wanted to say. Because let me tell you something. Because if God's speaking to you every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, and you have not done part of what we see in the Bible, you're going to be messed up on Judgment Day.
Will.
Amen.
I'm trying to tell you. Because if God talking to you that much, you better be raising up every dead person that come your way. There shouldn't be nobody blind around you, nobody deaf around you, nobody should die on cancer around you. Every person with cancer better be healed.
That's right.
Every dead person better get up if God talking to you every 5 minutes.
Like that. Yeah.
First of all, you must understand God is not a child box. His word is too potent and too powerful just to keep wasting. So he don't have that much time to keep talking to you every 5 minutes about some of the inspiration.
That's right. That's so
Because when he speak, his word got destiny and purpose to it.
right.
Uh-oh.
Jesus.
Now, let me give you some Bible. Nowhere in the Bible do you see where God talked to his patriarchs every 10 minutes like we see this generation. He spoke to Abraham one time. He spoke to his daddy Terah first, but Terah wouldn't move, so he spoke to Abraham. Said, get out of your daddy's house and leave your kindred. And Abraham, he didn't listen because he was hanging around his daddy. So God told him again. The Bible said in the book of Acts that God spoke a second time to Abraham and said again to him, leave.
Leave and act and give him alone.
He left. Close your baby. Keep yours on.